as Emma was just saying, of course, today is Remembrance Sunday. And COVID restrictions mean that many won't be able to mark this most important day in the way that they usually would and would certainly want to. But of course, it's still a time to reflect on the immense sacrifice of one generation. To mark the occasion, we had an interview this week with the Chief of the Defence Staff, Sinead Carter. I was busy with our US election coverage, so my top colleague, Deborah Haynes, our Foreign Affairs editor, went along to speak to the head of the British Armed Forces.
It's a unique time. The country under lockdown, an economic crisis that we haven't known for generations. Why should people care about remembrance?
Well, I think the most important thing about it is that it's about honouring those who gave their lives in the service of our country. And of course they did that to protect our way of life and our freedom. And I think it would be very dangerous if we forgot that. Not least, I think, because we need to hang on to that idea of democracy.
Why is that dangerous if we don't remember the sacrifice of the past?
Well, because I think that what we will also forget is the true horror of war. And if you forget about the horror of war, then the great risk, I think, is that people might think that going to war is a reasonable thing to do. Now, in certain circumstances, that might be the case, but of course you need to understand what you're taking on when you do it, because it's always visceral, it's always violent, it's always brutal, and ultimately it leads to people having to sacrifice their lives in the cause, and that's quite a thing for people to do. So we need to remember that, we need to learn from it, and we need to make sure that people only take us to war when they absolutely have to.
And looking at history tells us that economic crises lead to security crises. How worried are you that the global economic crisis brought on by coronavirus could lead to new security threats, potentially even war?
Yes,